to the next point. We should ensure whatever we say is clear.
That means work is being done. We can see that it is in opposite direction.
Hello, learners. Welcome to another segment of e-learning. I am Mrs. Chinyo. Today's topic is mass media. In this topic, we shall be looking at the following. 1, we'll look at the meaning of mass media. B, roles of mass media in governance. C, we'll look at impact of mass media in Nigerian politics. Learners, before we commence the lesson, I want to draw your attention to the common things we enjoy or use at home, which form part of the mass media. In your homes, I know you are familiar with the television that you have in your sitting rooms and the functions performed by the televisions. Some of you or your parents have and make use of radio. Others, your parents, especially your fathers, read newspapers on a daily basis. You also have journals, among other things. All these form part of the mass media and what we shall be talking about in this lesson. Now, by way of definition, the mass media can be defined as all the means of communication in a society. I mean all the means of communication in a society. These means include all print and electronic. That is, the mass media can come by way of print or electronic mass media. When we say electronic, it involves all electronics that are used in communication, while the prints, all those form of communication or information that comes by way of printed. Thank you for following. Next, I want us to discuss the roles performed by the mass media in governance. That is, in the day-to-day administration or running of either a state, a country, or an institution. What are the roles or duties performed by the mass media in governance? The mass media perform a lot of roles in governance, some of which include the following. 1, the mass media informs citizens about political parties and their activities before election. prior to election, you find out that your radios, your television, or the newspaper does what? They publicize, they inform or enlighten citizens about the activities of the political parties before election takes place. Point number 2, the mass media educate citizens about government policies and how such policies will impact on the citizens. Recent example has to do with government decision to deregulate from the petroleum downstream sector, and also the increase in electricity bill. That forms part of government policy. The mass media now publicize that policy, which brought about series of attention. Labor even threatened to go on strike over that issue before the issue was what? Temporarily halted, so that a lasting solution to that policy can be sought. Now, that is a role performed by the mass media. Were it not for the publicity of the mass media, some of us wouldn't have known that governments decided to remove their hands from the petroleum sector. Point number 3, the mass media also enlightens the people or citizens on the activities of some organizations operating in the country. We have a lot of organizations, both governmental and non-governmental organizations. Now let's take like the oil industries that are operating in parts of this country, Nigeria. Often at times, they offer scholarship schemes to deserving students or citizens. Now, it is the mass media most often that inform people about these scholarship schemes. Now, sometimes these organizations go to internally displaced person camps and offer help in the form of medical services or food. Now, the mass media follow them and enlighten citizens about what such organizations do. Point number 4, the mass media enlightens the citizens about the social responsibility embarked upon by some organizations and institutions. Now, point number 4 is closely related to point number 3. Some of these government or non-governmental organizations, like I said, offer help to citizens that are in need, citizens we call indigent. Point number 5, the mass media conveys, that is, they carry or they transfer public opinion to the government and also enlighten citizens about government policies. Public opinion, if you remember in one of our lessons, we said it is the view expressed by a cross-section of the society over an issue of national importance. Now, in this regard, when there is an issue of national importance, the public come out to express themselves. Now, this expression is being conveyed, carried out by the various mass media outfits that we have in the country, which help others to know what people are saying about a given government policy. Let's take the recent example or the events happening in this country as an example. How did you, as a learner, get to know that Labour was planning a national strike to protest about the increase in electricity tariff, among other issues? It is because the mass media publicized it and people came out to express their dislike or their unhappiness about this policy. There are other roles performed by the mass media. Number 6, for example, the mass media enables citizens to hold political office holders accountable for any inaction due to the publicity on their activities by the mass media. Now, in respect to point number 6, we are trying to explain that the mass media publicize the activities of our political office holders, thereby enabling citizens know what is happening, and consequently, citizens can hold their office holders responsible for their actions or inaction. Example, our elected representatives in either the state houses of assembly or the national assemblies. It is a common knowledge that there is what we call constituency allowance. Now, it is the mass media that comes out to publicize whether these office holders were given such allowance or otherwise. Now, when we get to know that they have collected this allowance, we wait for them back in our constituency to see whether they will come to execute projects that will benefit our lives. If they don't, we can call them to explain for their inactions. That is, why did they not come back to their constituency to come and execute projects that we had over the mass media. In addition, point number 7, though the last but not the least important, is that the mass media highlights, that is, they pinpoint areas of insecurity in the country so that actions could be taken. Now, the mass media are very vocal. Whenever they get news that there is insecurity in a given area, they quickly publicize it, that is, they broadcast it, so that citizens can be very careful and not fall victim. And it will also help our security personnel to know where to go in order to help curb the insecurity that is taking place. Having looked at the roles performed by the mass media, next, I want us to quickly discuss the impact of the mass media in Nigerian politics. What impact, or does the mass media have any impact in Nigerian politics or not? This is what I want us to look at. The mass media impact in Nigerian politics in the following areas or in the following ways. One, it enables the citizens to make informed decision on which political party to vote for through the activities of the mass media over how they publicize various political parties and their party manifestos. It helps citizens to make an informed choice or informed decision on which political party to vote for during election, which is a positive impact. Point number 2, through advertisements, it enhances the popularity of political parties during electioneering campaigns. Political parties that frequent their advertisements or that sells their party manifestos and activities over the print and electronic mass media can easily gain wider popularity and acceptance. Point number 3. Point number 3. The mass media motivates and sustains the interest of citizens on issues of importance to them as citizens, as well as individuals or the country at large. Through sustained enlightenment program, on issues of national importance. For instance, during the outbreak or at the height, peak of this coronavirus in Nigeria, the government used the media outfits to continually enlighten the people on the importance of distances, wearing of face masks, washing of hands, either with soap and water or sanitizing our hands, among other things. They sustained that campaign because it is important to individuals, to citizens, and the country at large. It is as a result of the mass media that that was obtained. Point number 4. The mass media helps to generate or stimulate active political participation on the part of the citizens. The mass media simulates active political participation on the part of citizens. Here, point number 4 is telling us that as a result of the activities of the mass media, people are stimulated, motivated to actively participate in politics. We've discussed political participation in one of our lessons. Point number 5. The mass media provides a platform for citizens to call the attention of their elected leaders on campaign promises. Citizens can go over the radio or go to the television houses and remind their elected leaders to honor and keep promises made during their electioneering campaigns. Number 6, through the activities of the mass media, elected leaders are called to account for their actions on prevailing issues of national importance, such as security, unemployment, poverty, among others. Citizens can go to any of the media houses and call on their elected leaders, asking them what measures, what steps they are taking in order to solve these national problems or challenges. Number 7, the mass media helps inform citizens to form opinions which can be positive or negative about their government and style of leadership through the activities of the mass media. Citizens can easily form opinion about the governments on ground, and such opinions could be positive or negative. Last but not the least, the mass media acts as the watchdog of the society by reporting what government does, which at the end of the day helps citizens to be aware of government actions and inactions. Thank you for your time. But before I go, I want to leave you with the following assignments. Number 1, define the concept of mass media. Number 2, discuss 4 roles of mass media in modern governments. Number 3, explain 3 impacts of the mass media in Nigerian politics. I remain Chinyo Juliana Tianhua. When you are done with the assignments, please forward it to 08104 742 553. I take the number again, 08104 74 2553. I remain your government teacher for senior secondary school. Thank you. See you next lesson.